Aloha and welcome. My name is Honolulu's. I've been working within the anime style medium for the last 10 years or so, and it's by far my favorite style of art. So much flexibility can be found within the medium itself, and I absolutely love it. I post my art on both TikTok and Instagram respectfully, so if you haven't already followed me on those platforms, be sure to do so. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Now, because anime is so easily accessible nowadays, at this point there is no shortage of inspiration when it comes to material. For example, you have simpler art designs, and then you have things a little more on the complex side. And then you have those that are a little bit in between, but that's for a different video entirely. So, for someone looking to give their art or anime style a more, authentic anime feel, I've compiled a list of things that I feel like would really help you accomplish this. Now, disclaimer, your mileage may vary, but I can guarantee you that you will get better at your craft by using these methods. So let's start with number one on the list. Study the work of other artists. The best ways to improve your art style, at least in my opinion, is to study the artists that specialize in that exact same style. So basically, if you really vibed with a lot of Naruto's art style, then you would follow a majority of Kishimoto's work. Analyze their use of color, line work, composition, and try to incorporate these techniques into your own style of art. It takes time, but I guarantee you it's a godsend. Practice anatomy. Now, it goes without saying that animes, generally the anime style tends to be a little more on the exaggerated side when it comes to anatomy. So it's important to build a firm understanding of real anatomy first, before you actually tackle some of the more super deformed looks or semi-deformed looks. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to go and buy yourself a book and go into deep dive into every little muscle unless you're really going down that route. Generally, you need to just only understand how the joints taper off, where they bend at, things of that nature. Having a better understanding of the simpler stuff will make it easier for you to do the more advanced creative stuff later. Develop your own style. Studying the work of other artists is important. It's also super essential, mega essential to develop your own style. Experiment with different techniques and styles that you find feels more authentic to you. I know for me, a lot of times when I first started drawing, I was drawing, Ninja Turtles, and then that went to Dragon Ball, and so many of my characters just look like poorly drawn Dragon Ball characters, and that's okay. That's okay. It's all a part of the process. But over time, the more anime you watch, or the more you study the art styles, you'll start to notice a gradual change. You might not notice it immediately, but one day you're gonna wake up and just be like, my God, this is cool. You see, the brain is just an amazing thing. When you're watching anime, you're looking at the fight scenes, your brain is picking up on art styles. Your mind will instinctively pick out the elements that you like about that style, and it just kind of just bleeds into whatever you're doing. While studying the work of other artists, it's super important to develop your own unique style. Experiment with different styles and techniques until you find one that really fits whatever is authentic to you. Now, this will develop over time, so don't worry about whether or not you're going too far into it or maybe not enough. Your mind instinctively picks up on the key design choices that you like and love about those specific art styles, and then it bleeds over into your creation, learning, application process. It'll just come down to refining it. Use references. Now, this was a little tricky because I kind of feel like even in this day and age, a lot of the art community is still kind of divided on this. References are important. I use them myself. References are a great way to improve your art style. You can use references to do poses, dynamic posing, to kind of nail a certain hairstyle. And they don't have to be references from other anime. You can just use real life. I prefer personally to use real life stills and then try to see if I can make those more dynamic by taking that and seeing how I can incorporate that into, you know, my particular art style. Now, a great place to find references, and I'm pretty sure this is kind of common knowledge at this point, but Pinterest. From poses to clothing, even some art tutorials in their entirety can be found on Pinterest, and you have a plethora of resources to pull from. So go ahead and give that a look. Experiment with color. The anime art style generally features bold, bright colors a majority of the time. So it's important to really experiment with different color combinations and shading techniques. Use color theory to create a dynamic range of eye-catching compositions. Use color theory to help get a better understanding of it. And for those of you who might not know what color theory is, I will be making a separate video for that later on. Take breaks. Now, people who create art for a living understand this all too well. Now, when I say art, I don't necessarily mean just drawing or painting. I'm talking writers, I'm talking authors, musicians. It doesn't matter. We all go through this. It is the creative block. The majority of the time that happens whenever you are going at something for so long, your brain almost feels zapped of inspiration. I don't even know if that's the right term to use, zapped of inspiration. It's not even so much that you're zapped of inspiration, but you're just creatively exhausted. So no matter what you try to put out there, it always ends up looking like, you know, doing. To combat that, I would definitely suggest taking a break. Take some time off, go jog, go do whatever, and then come back to it. It's not going anywhere. Taking breaks is important in order for you to avoid experiencing burnout. This way, when you come back to your art, you can look at it with fresh eyes and a more invigorated outlook on what you're working on. Get feedback. Feedback from other artists or a mentor is invaluable to improving your art style. Seek out critiques and constructive criticism to help better your art. I know that can be kind of difficult for some people who, you know, don't have peers that really understand the medium or kind of just gas them up. While that's important, it's important to be gassed up. I think it is more, see if I can word this properly. It's better for you if you are given that constructive criticism. And usually that is whenever you're having to be faced with another peer who does art and maybe see something that you don't see. It helps improve. No one can build an empire by themselves. It takes a village. And quite honestly, I can't think of a better time to do it. The internet is vast and wide. Connections are being made on the daily. Me personally, I prefer Discord. You can find Discord groups that offer, you know, a little haven, safe haven for artists, where you guys can give each other feedback. But yeah, I think that's extremely important. In conclusion, improving your art style takes time and practice, if you haven't figured that out already. But by studying the work of other artists, using references, developing your own style, learning, you know, anatomy and physiology, taking breaks and seeking feedback, you will continue to improve as an artist. I can assure you of that. Quick little story for you guys. So whenever I started wanting to draw like more seriously, like hone in on my craft, I want to say in my early 20s for sure. I would draw consistently every day. My art still didn't really improve. At least I didn't feel like it improved that much. I was doing using the same framework that I was using when I was in high school, and I didn't challenge myself to kind of spread my wings, stretch out a little bit, and try to experiment with a different like style entirely. I was still within the anime style medium, but it still felt too unrefined, and I got overwhelmed. Needless to say, I took a break for about a year and a half, and I just didn't have any drive to want to draw because I felt that was, you know, that was it for me. lo and behold, I was watching, what was I watching? Bleach and Gantz. So for me, there were two different art styles, completely polar opposites. You had one that kind of teetered more on more detail, and the other one kind of had a typical shonen format, which was a little more simpler in design. Now, don't get me wrong, Tite Kubo's work is phenomenal. He has some of the best character designs I've ever seen, which is what inspired me to want to pick up drawing again. And what I didn't realize is when I picked up that pen to draw, the same character that I consistently drew over and over again, the design was completely different. Like, it still looked the same, but it felt cleaner. It felt more refined. And of course, I continued to improve on that as the years went on. But needless to say, taking breaks is important, and learning the style, understanding how to mix and match your style, your own vision with the artist's vision, and then kind of mixing and melding your own, if that makes sense. I don't think that made sense. I feel like I rambled and none of that made sense. I apologize. I am so sorry. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will be trying to post a lot more frequently in the coming weeks, so look forward to that. That being said, aloha, God bless, and take care.